Back to the news that you heard first here on Varney and Company. Senator Schumer and former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, they will have dinner with President Trump tonight. Joining us now, Chad Pergram, Fox News senior Capitol Hill producer. This is kind of interesting news about bipartisanship reach out, isn't it?
Yeah, the president seems to be extending a hand across the aisle. He met with bipartisan senators last night on tax reform. He has the so-called Problem Solvers Caucus, a group of moderate Republicans and Democrats coming down for a meeting this afternoon, and now Pelosi and Schumer coming for dinner tonight. I was just told a couple of moments ago that this is an effort to talk about these other deadlines in the fall agenda. They have to, figure out some other things at the end of September about children's health insurance. Also, at some point, go back and tackle government spending in December. DACA is something they want to get done. The House Minority Whip, Steny Hoyer, indicated yesterday he'd like to try to get that done by the end of the month. And remember, the Democrats hold the cards on a lot of these things. Republicans aren't going to go for it. Democrats would. But here's something that's very important. People are starting to wonder just how far can Democrats go to meet with President Trump. You talk about Star Wars. There was a very prophetic line in Return of the Jedi when the rebel commander, Admiral Akbar, was talking to them, and he said, "It's a trap." And so some people here on Capitol Hill are wondering whether or not, they're going down the primrose path here with President Trump.
Well, the story really is, what kind of tax cut deal will we get? What kind of infrastructure deal will we get if the president has to bring the Democrats on board with the deal? Surely they will water down both, won't they?
Well, this is the concern from a lot of conservatives. Sure. Dave Bratt, the very conservative congressman from Virginia, alluded to as much just yesterday. Mark Meadows, the chair of the Freedom Caucus, the very conservative faction of Republicans here, says, wait a minute, if we're trying to do tax reform, this could blow a hole in the deficit. And it's already big. It's going to be bigger after they do these tens of billions of dollars in hurricane relief, which everybody says they have to do. But that makes tax reform that much more nettlesome because you don't have that revenue coming in. And if you're going to make it revenue neutral, that's a problem. So what would Democrats go for here? There's certain things they're going to want to get. You're probably going to have Republicans jump off the bus on some of these things, so you need Democrats. But, Stuart, here's the problem. Even if you get, your Joe Manchins and your Heidi Heitkamps maybe in the Senate, they had dinner with the president last night, you still need to turn off a filibuster unless you can do this under a process called budget reconciliation, which neuters filibusters. And you can't do that until you pass a budget. And Kevin Brady, the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, he made that very point to his meeting with House Republicans today. You have to pass a budget because you can't sidestep those filibusters in the Senate for tax reform unless you do a budget. They hope to do that by mid-October.
You're so technical, Chad. You're so technical. You're missing the big picture. This is a new presidency. It's the bipartisan outreach, moving to the center, a new political alignment. That's the news.
Well, that was the argument that some people made yesterday, that maybe they tilted too far to the right, that this is a pivot from the so-called Priebus regime, Reince Priebus, the former White House chief of staff. He was the Republican National Committee chairman, and he becomes White House chief of staff. So naturally, who was the Republican president going to work with? Republicans. But he wasn't getting very far. He didn't get very far on health care reform. And that's another point that Kevin Brady, the Ways and Means Committee chairman, said today. He said, look, we have to have the House and Senate in tandem on tax reform, because if we just have the House going ahead, which is what they did, and not the Senate, you're not going to finish it.
With detail. I'm so in the weeds, I'm drowning here, Chad. I think all of this is great stuff, okay? Chad Pergram, right there, announcing the barriers to what we want to get done here. But, Chad, you're all right, and you know your stuff. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you. May the force be with you.
Yeah, right, okay. What are them? Okay. Thank you, Chad.